We are here today demanding justice for Nikole Hannah-Jones. We are here today to stand in solidarity with a Black woman who is more than qualified to receive tenure from her alma mater. Nikole Hannah-Jones has won a Pulitzer Prize, an author Genius Grant, and a Peabody Award. Nikole Hannah-Jones is being punished for her amazing work of the 1619 Project, which addresses the truths of white supremacy within this country. Despite UNC being a top university in our nation, it has continually fallen behind in hiring Black faculty members. Collectively, there are 226 Black faculty members. Only 69 of them have tenure. There are more than 4,000 full-time faculty members at UNC. We condemn the decisions and the actions of the Board of Trustees and stand in solidarity with Nikole Hannah-Jones and all Black faculty and staff that are disenfranchised by UNC Chapel Hill.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order this special session of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill Board of Trustees. We will now move into closed session.
Yeah, can't even look at us, Kevin. Okay. So Black Lives Matter, right?
Prisoners, right?
And you're proud of us, right? Look at y'all's faces. You're proud of this, right?
Get your Don't touch them. Don't touch them. Don't touch them. Look, man, don't make it easy, man. Get my out!
Hey, you are a white student, back up. You. Every single one of you. Every single one of you. You serve us. You serve us. I want to get on this megaphone and yell and scream because I am so angry and frustrated by the way we have been treated today.
Y'all are just gonna watch us get assaulted, watch us get pushed out. Kevin, diversity inclusion, right?
When all we did was stand in there in solidarity for Nikole Hannah-Jones, you guys pushed us. They try to push the issue off the agenda for as long as they possibly can. Wait until you're gone. It's a new set of students here. And you know why they succeed? Because there aren't any Black tenured professors here to keep the fight going.
By a vote of 9-4, the Board of Trustees today, in its first opportunity to consider the tenure application of Nikole Hannah-Jones, has granted tenure to Ms. Hannah-Jones. In so doing, this board reaffirms that our university puts its highest values first. The university's charter adopted on...
This is an important day for our campus. We respect your voices and your passion. We still have a lot more work ahead and are committed to working to build our community together to ensure that all voices are heard and that everyone on our campus knows they belong. Ultimately, I am glad that the matter of tenure for Nikole Hannah-Jones has been resolved. Professor Hannah-Jones will add great value to our university. Our students are eager to learn from her, and we are ready to welcome her to the Carolina faculty as soon as possible.
I want to ask you, Chancellor Douglas, how hard would it have been to have said, students, I see that you aren't leaving. We are in closed session. If you do not move, you will be forcibly removed. Please leave. And you are silent. You are silent as they hurt us. This means nothing.
You just watched us get assaulted.
Mr. Davis, can I tell you something? What you did today means nothing. We're not monsters. We are still unsafe. Confederates feel safer on our campus than we do. I heard people people screaming, I heard people getting pushed, and I know that the very board members that sat in this room also witnessed the same thing, whether you averted your eyes or not. You heard our cries and you ignored them. And that is a perfect representation of what UNC does to black students every single day. It is not that we are not heard. We are heard and purposely ignored, which is exactly what happened today.
To discuss what led to today's board meeting and the recent decisions around it, I am now joined by Erica Wilson, who is professor of law at the University of North Carolina, and I'm also joined by the president of the Black Student Movement at UNC, Talijah Van. Thank you both for joining me. Erica, how did we get here today?
Well, I think it's been a long time coming. I think this is the horrible events that have happened with Nikole Jones, really the capstone of a long, winding road at UNC Chapel Hill, in which the governance systems have fallen apart and have been intertwined with politics in ways that are unforgivable and unacceptable for any university. And so, while I was happy to see the ultimate 9-4 vote today, I would be remiss if I didn't honestly say that I'm tired. I mean, this has been a long, winding road, and I hope that we can take steps now to hold folks accountable and move away from the entwinement of politics with our faculty governance.
I think part of why I asked the question, Talijah, about how we got here is because I don't want people to ever think that this outcome would have happened without organizing, without struggle, without putting a spotlight on this. And one of the main people who put a spotlight on this issue were students. You and other students have been making, as John Lewis would say, good trouble since day one. In your estimation, how important was the constant protest that pushed the board?
I think that it was imperative to us having the decision that we do right now. You hit the nail on the head, in my opinion, in saying the university, the board of trustees, they absolutely would not have taken further action if there had not been such insurmountable pressure coming from the Black student movement, coming from the Carolina Black Caucus, and seeing Black undergrads, grad students, alumni all rallying together behind this issue, and all of us standing in solidarity with Nikole Hannah-Jones. There's no way that you all would have ultimately called this session and held this vote because you were not interested in giving Nikole Hannah-Jones what she deserved. I think that ultimately our board of trustees is interested in maintaining the structures of white supremacy on this campus, and to do that, you work hard to keep Black women out of the classroom, to keep Black professors out of the classroom, and to keep Black professors on this campus from having tenure. When you deny tenure to these people, you end up in a situation where you have cycles of Black students, different classes being pushed out of the university as we graduate. And as student leaders leave and graduate from the university, the buck stops. And you have new students coming in afterwards, picking up the fight, starting again from square one to talk about the issues that have been plaguing our community for decades. And you guys, as an administration, are happy to see us not be able to finish getting whatever we tried to accomplish done because we don't even have the representation, resources, and tenured Black faculty on this campus to continue to support us as we do these, as we engage in these fights. Ultimately, I think it's all cyclical and it's very deliberate.
Professor Wilson, and forgive me for not using your title earlier. Talk to me about what tomorrow looks like. Nikole Hannah-Jones now has tenure, but some faculty of color have already left. I've spoken to some of them who say they're still considering leaving. And there are these climate issues, these cultural issues, these structural issues at the university. Are you optimistic at all that things will move in a better direction now?
Well, I want to be clear that the damage has already been done. Despite what happened today. And it is absolutely accurate that without the organizing of students in particular, we wouldn't have come to this moment. So you asked what tomorrow looks like. I think that it's a wake-up call for faculty in particular. I think that my call has been for white faculty to step up and to voice their concerns about why this environment is unacceptable. Unless and until that happens, tomorrow, frankly, looks like yesterday. It can't be incumbent upon only faculty of color and students of color to try and right the ship here. It has to be a collective effort. As I mentioned at the top of my comments, this is the capstone of a long, winding history of interference with governance structures that has to stop. I mean, whether or not Nikole Hannah-Jones decides to accept the offer is another question. But for the university, tomorrow looks bleak unless we, as a faculty, and faculty in particular, I say faculty and not students, because we're supposed to be there to educate the students. It shouldn't be incumbent upon the students to be the change catalyst. Faculty need to step up and say no more. This is not acceptable, and try and right the ship.
And for people who hear that word faculty governance and ask questions, I mean, the point here is that faculty are typically responsible for hiring, for doing searches and hiring faculty. They vote on their colleagues. They decide on tenure both within the university and with outside reviewers and such. And once the faculty make an affirmative vote, it goes up the chain from departments to colleges to university tenure committees to provosts to presidents. It is rare that boards of trustees intervene in such matters. And when they do, unfortunately, it's quite often for political reasons. Stephen Salaita was denied his tenure on appointment after being granted tenure on appointment. He was effectively fired at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign for political reasons. What's happened with Nikole Hannah-Jones was for almost no one's even disputing that it was for political reasons. And so when we talk about governance here, it's not just a question of whether or not people can get hired or not. It's whether or not faculty will be permitted to do the job that accompanies academic freedom. This is a fundamental political question. And at a moment where the right is screaming about political correctness and cancel culture, they're going around canceling everybody that they don't agree with. It's just it's a fascinating contradiction here. But Talijah, I want to turn to you before we go, because you got to be there. You got 2 more years at the University of North Carolina. Your class of 2023, which makes me feel old. How will you feel in the aftermath? How will students feel in the aftermath? Do you feel like this is a place you want to be?
No. It's absolutely not a place that I want to be. I am proud to be on the ground organizing for my community every day. I'm proud to be one of the people, one of the many student leaders leading this fight and being at the helm, again, rallying for our community and making sure that our university and administration know we are here, we are watching you, we are holding your feet to the fire. And this executive board of the Black Student Movement is interested in one thing, and that's action. We want to see our community's needs met, and we're committed and dedicated to doing all the work to make that happen. But even outside of all of the pride that I feel to be in the role that I have within my community, I will never forget the way that my university treated me today. For you to have Black students standing peacefully in this board meeting in solidarity with Nikole Hannah-Jones, and to have the police sicked on Black students like we're dogs to kick us out of this space, students being beaten, my vice president being punched in her face by an adult man today, an adult Black officer, Officer Holland, that happened today. As our board members and our chancellor sat in that room and did nothing, hearing me and other students screaming, "Get off her, stop touching her. We aren't pushing you guys. We aren't hitting you. We are standing in this space." And you came and you met us with physical violence. And the leaders of our community met that violence with silence. And they did it in front of the media, still standing in the closed session, because they felt that the police were acting with impunity. They feel they can do anything to us, treat us any kind of way. I want you all to ask yourselves, honestly, this is what we saw them do today on camera, and they knew the world was watching. How do you honestly think they treat us when you're not paying attention? I will never, ever, ever forget the lesson that UNC at Chapel Hill taught me today, and I will continue to bring this up when I'm talking to potential Black students who are interested in coming here in the future, talking to Black parents, anybody who is thinking about entering UNC at Chapel Hill. I'm going to give you the full understanding that I have of what it means to be Black at this university. It has not been a pleasant experience by any measure. The way that we were treated today is absolutely inexcusable. And when I tell you I will never forget, I never will.
Your words are so powerful and they're so compelling. And I don't know if the University of North Carolina will be responsive to them. I suspect they won't be. But I do know that universities are responsive when their reputations are on the line, and more fundamentally when the money is on the line. So we're going to keep the pressure on here at Black News Tonight. I know the students are going to keep the pressure on. Professor, I know the faculty are going to keep the pressure on. And we're going to keep this in the spotlight. We do not want people to think that Nikole Hannah-Jones, that this victory, that this tenure appointment is the end of the story. No, no, no. It is just the start of an ongoing entrenched battle for real freedom and real justice for everybody. Professor, also Talijah, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for your powerful work to make this moment happen.